Well, good afternoon to one and all present here. My name is Mohit Kishore Vats, Assistant Professor at DME Media School, and I welcome everyone to the Session Orientation Program, SOP 2020. In today's orientation session, we are going to talk about video editing. But before that, let me give you all a brief about DME. Delhi Metropolitan Education, DME, is a premier educational institute affiliated to Guru Gobind Singh Indraprasth University, New Delhi, and approved by Bar Council of India. DME provides first-rate infrastructure with strong academic facilities to render a dynamic grounding for success. It has 3 schools which have 4 academic programs, and these are DME Law School. It has integrated programs like BA LLB and BBA LLB. The second one is DME Media School, which offers Bachelor of Arts in Journalism and Mass Communication, that is BA-JMC program. And the third one is DME Management School, which offers BBA Bachelor's in Business Administration. DME's sister college, Delhi Technical Campus at Greater Noida, provides the most sought-after programs affiliated to Guru Gobind Singh Indraprasth University and is also approved by All India Council for Technical Education, that is AICTE. The institute imparts technical education in the fields of engineering, architecture, hotel management, and MBA. Now, talking about DME Media School is one of the top media schools in the country, which focuses on the growth of the faculty and students through academic and co-curricular activities. Some of the activities undertaken by the school are: recently we hosted the world's first 10-day digital live international conference on issues of community, agenda, and news, that is ICANN3. Our hashtag for the conference was hashtag Conference for Change. Other than that, this conference was organized in collaboration with Deakin University, Melbourne, Australia. Our knowledge partners were Adamas University, Kolkata, KR Mangalam University, Gurugram, and Public Relations Society of India, PRSI, Delhi chapter. This was organized from 21st June to 30th June 2020. Apart from this, we also organized CineSA International Film Festival, that is CIFI, which was organized in collaboration with Deakin University, Melbourne, Australia, from April 17 to April 20, 2019. And prior to the 3rd edition of ICANN3, we have organized ICANN twice. The ICANN 1 was first organized on March 9, 10 and 11 on the theme India and Changing Aspects of News, while ICANN 2 was held on November 16, 17 and 18 on the theme of Indian cinema and alternate networks. We've also organized BG Varghese lecture series every month with eminent media personalities and experts delivering special lectures on issues related to media and other subjects of contemporary value. Now, coming to the lockdown saga, during lockdown, we at DME Media School prepared video lectures for our students. And other than that, we had organized more than 30 webinars from various subjects ranging from constitutional values to cybersecurity and to some other aspects of media. We also organized a special Media Master webinar series which focuses on prospective students of media and also the present students of DME Media School. Recently, we have also begun with an informal face-to-face webinar series wherein 3 students from the Media School, they talk informally with the Dean, and the Dean talks to them regarding their hobbies, their aspirations, and what do they want to achieve. The program is known as Face to Face. So let's now take a look at DME's virtual campus.
DME has embraced digital paradigm shift by adopting technology-based learning.
Unlike other colleges, we adopted a 2-step strategy. In step 1, teachers would be preparing the videos, students would be watching them. In step 2, the student would be coming to the tutorial, clarifying the doubts, making the presentations, and discuss with the teacher.
At DME, we have invested in the best in the class academic ERP, which allows us to have a 360-degree robust communication amongst all the stakeholders, students and faculty members.
DME's virtual learning mechanism is no less than real-time classroom teaching,
wherein the students are provided the pool of e-learning resources in the form of PPTs, video lectures, and online classes in a very student-friendly environment.
There is no need of mental blocks. Online teaching is as effective and interesting as offline teaching. let the students enjoy this new mode of education.
In DME, we believe in quality education. We take care of our students. We want to see them happy.
Mental and emotional health are one of the most challenging issues of present times. DME Mentoring Cell takes care of that. Not just this, we go beyond academic curriculum to instill the most important employability skills in our students.
Well, thank you very much for the video. So today we are going to discuss and deliberate on video editing, which is also an elective subject of the third semester. And we have a very distinguished expert amongst us to take this session. He is Mr. Unnikrishnan Payur Parmeswaran. So before we proceed to the session, let me apprise everyone about our expert. Mr. Unnikrishnan Payur Parmeswaran is a journalism and mass communication bachelor's. He went on to study film editing and sound design and pursue a career in film editing, trained under national award-winning editor Arif Sheikh, and then went on to become an upcoming independent editor. With a flair of direction as well, he helmed 2 short films as director and won couple of awards internationally for the same. His work as a film editor includes Durgavati, Bloody Day, Grade, For Bindya Called Jugnu, Chopsticks, Naam, Broken But Beautiful, that is a television series, Fitrat, again a television series, to name a few. Mr. Parmeswaran has worked as an associate editor for films like Phantom, Yaya, D-Day, Nautanki Sala, Rush, Kya Super Cool Hai Hum, Delhi Safari, and Damadam, Force, to name a few from the long list. He has in his credit 2 short films, Daromat and Ardor, as a writer, director, and producer. He is also a recipient of Certificate of Excellence in Delhi Shorts International Film Festival, India, for his short film Daromat in 2017. He has also received a jury prize at Indian World Film Festival for Best Editing for the film Check Post in 2019. Last but not the least, Mr. Parmeswaran's directorial short film received Best Short Narrative at Film Festival in 2017. We welcome you to the session, sir. Thank you. And before we actually begin with the session, I would just request our head of DME Media School, Professor Dr. Susmita Bala, to kindly share her views regarding the session.
Thank you, Mohit. Welcome, Mr. Unnikrishnan, at this online platform. As I know about Unnikrishnan, he is very hardworking and soft-spoken person. And he edited lots of films, big budget films. Very, very interesting films I saw. Basically, this paper, video editing, is practically paper. Practical learning is there, not theoretical more. So practical learning is more needed for students. So I think this session will very enrichful for students. So thank you, Unnikrishnan, for this session. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Over to Mohit.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for your kind words. I would now request, without wasting much time, Mr. Unnikrishnan to share his experience and whatever he has done and how he has become an editor and what has been his journey. And sir, these are third semester students who will be studying video editing formally for the first time. So I would request you to kindly share your words with them.
On anything, any kind of video editing. Do they have any knowledge in any kind of video editing?
Some of them have worked informally. It means as part of the course curriculum, they haven't done it, but they have been doing certain video projects as such. This would be the first time that they will be formally studying this subject.
Sure. I'll share my screen.
Yeah.
The screen sharing is disabled.
Ritik sir? Yeah.
See, this is the common term that people use. What is editing? Theoretically, you can tell that it's a creative and technical part of post-production process of filmmaking. Where is this derived from? It's the films earlier used to happen. Am I still on?
Yes, you are. Your screen sharing is on, and we can hear you, sir. You can please continue.
Guys, I'm sorry, I'm new to Zoom, so yeah. So this started because earlier we used to cut the films on film, the reels. So that's how it started. But lately it has turned technology the digital, and it's the film is out of. But still there are people who prefer doing edit on shoot on film. So that that's still in system, but not too much. And these days there's a lot of softwares like this TikTok, this, that, and all. A lot of people know what is editing, but that's a very minute form of editing. That's I wouldn't say that. See, editing is all about storytelling. Editor, I believe, is equally a director as much a director is. If the editor doesn't finish his job correctly, then the whole idea of conveying the script to the audience is defeated. So I'll tell you basic rules of editing, but these rules are not mandatory rules. These are again self-made rules, which people have started identifying with their experiences. Like every time you cut, like from one shot to another, there should be a reason. It should not be a random cut. Each cut should tell a story. Each cut should be a progression for a scene, and each cut should have a reason that it should improve the scene and improve the sequence rather than showing that edit is happening. Okay, and whenever it's possible, try to cut in movement. Like if one person is just for example in a wide shot, a person is trying to sit on a bench. You want to go to a close, you would try to cut with the movement, like the moment that guy is about to land on the bench. That's the correct time to cut, because you get intrigued with the cut. You see the movement. For a human eye, movement matters. And it one thing you definitely need to check is for a lag. Like each and every cut needs to be so precise that audience should not lose their interest. If you lose interest in one cut or in a one scene, the whole film might go for a toss because of a relatability of one scene to the another. And one major thing is a lot of people don't rely on it is watching the footage. Watching the footage is equally important as shooting it. You have to watch it twice, thrice, so that you don't miss out on small nitty-gritties that see. There are assistant directors who write down continuities like this was an okay take, this was an NG take, this. But you, as an editor, you should not limit yourself just for on that note of director saying it's an okay take. You never know, you might get something from an NG take, one expression, maybe that was good in that take, maybe that was not good in the okay take that director has mentioned. So it's not necessary to go for okay take. It's always better to keep on watching the footage twice, thrice, as much time as possible till the time it's actually imbibed in your head, so that you don't miss out on small things which help in making that sequence or making the film better or the video better. And one major rule about edit is action and reaction. So each shot you put, like if I'm putting my shot and counter, that there should be a reaction to it. If I'm speaking to you and you are reacting to me in a manner that helps in story flow, so that each and every reaction is important for the previous cut to work. If for an example, I'm I'm speaking about candy, and the other person reacts in a way that he's speaking about something other else. So that will contradict each other. So that will not help the storytelling. So it's always better to find a shot which help as an action reaction procedure. And there is a thing called match cut. Like I'll show you a video later about this. People tend to go for match cuts, keeping in mind ki if in this shot this person was keeping a hand like this, in the counter the hand is like this. But
Sir,
yeah,
Ponni sir, can you come little closer to the system? Your audio is little low.
sure.
Yeah. Yes, yes.
Yeah, at places where a lot of people tend to lose emotions and values because they try to follow the method of match cutting. That I would say is like you need to do match cut, but at places where like at scenes like if someone is smoking a cigarette, you can't match cut it. By the amount of ash will be less, in the close it will be more. When you are having emotional scene, you can't control your body. So it's always better to cut for the value and emotion in those places, trying to keep in mind if you can do match cuts. If you can't, you don't have to worry about it, because if your value and emotion are working, that's more than it for the audience to engage themselves. And most importantly, you need to nurture your relationship with the director, because he is the one who has guided the film till the time it reaches you. So you need to be in sync with that person to understand what he needs from the film and what he needs audience to see through the film. It's always better you have a conversation about the edit pattern, or what kind of pace is he looking at, what is the rhythm he has in his mind before you go for the shoot, or on the pre-production stage, script level. It's always better because it's easy for you as well. You know his mindset, you know what is he planning to do, you exactly know iske baad ye aayega. So it's a easier procedure if you are in sync with the director. Not a lot of people try to sit in the pre-production, but I personally like to sit in pre-production stage of a film, because it's always good to be in sync with the film. What he's planning, it might be that he's planned something which he's not kept the edit in mind, and he's just kept the emotion in mind. So it's my job to tell me that this works as an emotion, but this not working as an edit. So this is what you can do to correct it and clarify it. So it's always better to have that relationship with the director, so it doesn't bother you in the later stage of the film when you're editing. It's a smooth process. And a lot of editing has to do with communication. Like it's basically you are telling a story to the audience, which it's your job for the audience to understand the film. The director has done his job, the DOP has done his job. Now it's your job to justify those 2-3 people and all the crew, basically art director, each and every aspect which has worked on this film. It's your job to beautify it and let that communication happen. So each cut should be communicative. I think these are the laws that generally people have to follow. Again, it's not a hard written law or something. It's again, people have figured out with experience that this works and this doesn't work. With the transition from film reel to a digital, a lot has changed. When there was a film reel happening, it used to have a limited amount of footage because of the cost of the reel and all other factors. But now with the advent of digital camera, a lot has changed. You get to shoot how much as you want, because it's just a card and you can always copy it on the computer and start afresh. So, but that in a way is good and bad for an editor. Good in such a way that you get enough footage. So if you tend to miss out on something, you can always go back to other takes or go back to other things and find out things. Bad in such a way that they tend to shoot so much, they tend to shoot extra, which sometimes ends up confusing the editor that which one to use, because they might be 10 takes and 9 takes might be good. So it's a confusing thing which of the 9 takes to use. But that's a good confusion, I would say. It's a good confusion, but it's always better, like it's always better to go on the shoot with a pre-mindset, what you want as an editor, what want for an editor, because it's always better for the storytelling. There's a couple of tips that I think works. One is a NG shots thing. NG is no good, not good. There are a lot of places. The director, there's a thing called continuity sheet, in which an assistant director writes down that this scene number, this take is good, this is not good, this is good, this is the okay take according to the director. Now, the editor assistant looks for those takes and gives the editor a timeline which consists of okay takes according to the director. So if you actually work only on the okay takes, then you are limiting yourself to what the director has told you. Rather, it's always better to open up your perspective and try to look for all the takes, rather what small reaction or small dialogue that unknowingly the artist must have said, or unknowingly he must have reacted in such a way. You never know what you get from that. So it's always better to look for NG takes, which a lot of people try to avoid. That director ने NG लिखा है, it's avoided. I don't think you should do that. Each and every frame of whatever the director shot has some meaning. Each and every frame has the capacity and power to tell a story. So it's always better to find out those things and let the story flow. And one major thing is eyelid movement. So as a human being, when we see something on the screen, we tend to look into the eye. That's how a human eye works. So if you're cutting in between, like if someone is blinking and you cut in between that, for the audience it's a jerk, because you are concentrating on the eye. And if you cut in between a blink, it's a bad cut. It's a jerk, and that will break the flow of a scene. The rhythm gets cut. So it's always either finish it before the blink starts or finish it after the blink ends. But it's always better to cut before and after the blink. In between blinks will create a jerk for the audience. And see, there is no, these are the rules again, which I told you, it's because of experience, but a lot has to do with your own instinct. You have to decide what works. If this I put one shot and the counter shots need this much amount of breathing space, you have to give that. You have to cut according to your instinct. What you would like to see in a theater or on a TV or on a channel, what you would like to see. If you wouldn't want to see this much stay, then you wouldn't want to do it on the edit table. Because at the end of it, audience think alike. Like not in a how would you say? It's majorly the viewpoint is same. It's film viewing has not really changed. Yes, the audience have become more intelligent. Audience have started scrutinizing a lot of things, and that in a way is good for the media. But just a minute. Yeah, and most importantly, if someone is applauding you of an edit and not of the film, like if I know a lot of people who keeps on telling, wow, it's a very good edit, the film is fine but the edit is very good, but that doesn't justify the film. You are not there to only edit, you are there to communicate the film. So if the edit works and nothing else work in the film, then it's a loss for you. You have not justified the work you have been assigned. The whole idea of an edit is to make things look so seamless that you don't actually realize that there is an edit happened, there's a cut happened. Till the time it's seamless, it's in flow, it's perfect. The emotion should come. The every cut tells an emotion. Each and every cut has an emotion to it. And till the time that emotion is conveyed, you work, your film works. Maybe the camera work must be bad, maybe the edit must be bad, maybe art direction must be bad, but if it works, it works. So it's always better to look out for the film rather than your work. That's why it's always said, cut to the film, cut for the film to work, not for the edit to work. If the film works, everything else works. If the film doesn't, nothing works. And lot of people, what they do is they put music and sound effects, and also what happens is sound effects and music camouflages the cuts in such a way you don't tend to realize mistakes. You tend to lose out on rhythm. If you cut a particular scene on a music, you're cutting on that rhythm, but you don't realize you're cutting onto that music's rhythm, not to the scene's rhythm. So it's always better if whenever you are done with a scene or a sequence or the whole film, try to watch the whole film without audio. Mute it and watch it. You'll realize how much jerk is there visually. So if you can figure out that visual jerk, the audio can be taken care of. So it's always better to mute the whole sequence and watch it before you finalize the edit. And one thing is rhythm. See, there is rhythm in each and everything you do. The way you eat, the way you speak, the way you sleep, each and everything needs rhythm. Without that, I don't personally think there is anything in this world which doesn't need a rhythm. It's the same with the edit. You need a rhythm for the whole scene to work, for the whole film to work. It's a like I would say, if you like I'm speaking, you would want to know when to cut in between I'm talking, or once when I've done with the talking, and how much time you need to give before you cut from one shot to another. Like it's like when I'm talking to you, you have to preempt the response. If I'm talking to you, I know in how much time frame you will give me a reply.
Sir, sorry, I'm interrupting. There is a question in the chat box.
Yeah.
Can I please ask you a question regarding that?
Sure, sure.
So there is a question coming up from Siddharth Kukreja. He's a final year student. He is asking how much a technical aspect of editing is important in direction.
In direction.
Yes.
See, technical aspect. These days a lot of I would say in every nook and corner there are editing suites, editing studios, classes that they teach editing. But what they claim to teach is not what they teach. They claim to teach you editing, but they tend to teach you softwares. But one need to understand, software doesn't make you an editor. It will take you a week to understand what software is. That becomes one technical aspect. But for direction, yes, if you know editing, it's always like best of the directors in India are editors. Rajkumar Hirani, Sanjay Leela Bansali, David Dhawan, Vidhu Vinod Chopra, or one of the biggest directors in India are editors. So what helps is you are clear in your head that you want this shot from this point to this point. So I'm not going to use this particular white take for more than this second. I need this white take for this action. That's it. I'm not going to use it for any other purpose. So it becomes very clear as an if your edit pattern, you know what you want in an edit table. It's always better as a director because you would shoot that much point. See, again, as I told you, with the advent of digital, people tend to shoot a lot of things, but the people who are clear in their head, they tend to shoot that much only.
So there is another question which is coming to my mind, since you have been involved in this field for a longer period of time. So editing a dance sequence or editing a regular sequence or action sequence, what is more complex according to you?
See, comparatively, editing a dance sequence is easier because you have a rhythm, you have a song behind. So you have to cut to that rhythm. Like if there is a beat change, you can always change that shot according to that beat and it will not jerk until unless there's a major visual jerk. So it's easier. I'm not saying it's not important. It's very important because if you don't cut a particular song on a particular rhythm, it might go haywire. But cutting a scene is more complex because there is no rhythm, there's no underlying rhythm to it. The whole rhythm is in your head. You have to set a rhythm of a scene. You have to realize कि इसके बाद he needs this much breathing space. He needs this much time for that question to be replied. So that rhythm is something, again, that rhythm is something you can't teach anyone. That's in you. You have to create, you have to build that instinct. You have to, with work, you will understand ki, oh, this is not working. So this is what I need to do for this to work. So as you asked, comparatively, dance sequence is easier because you have a song in your audio timeline. But it's equally complex cutting a song as well as cutting a scene.
Okay, there is another question, sir, that is from our faculty, Mr. Sumantra Sarthi Das. He's asking, can you please throw some light on digital intermediate or coloring, as it is an important part of post-production process?
Yeah, it is. So see, DI is majorly something which DOP takes care of. Our major work is for our work. It's for the edit to correctly reach the DI. And there are the main job of an assistant editor after the edit is locked. There's a thing called EDL or cut list. Cut list used to be there when there was a film. EDL and XML. So that's a data of time code, whatever cuts we have done. So that reaches the DI and they grab the footage according to that time code. So main job of an editor there is to figure out that the guy who has grabbed the whole footage on DI and confirmed the timeline of the whole film, he needs to be sure that it's what he has edited is what the DOP is coloring. First, the whole procedure is connected. That video will go to the sound guy. That video will go to the sound effects guy. So the sync will be off if there is some problem with the confirming of the word is confirming of the footage in the DI. After that, there is no job for an editor in the DI. Once the DOP takes over, he's done with it.
Sir, another question. Can you please clear this distinction for our students? What is the difference between a cinematographer, a DOP, or maybe a camera person, if we are talking about filmmaking?
That's clearly DOP question, but it's nowadays these are a lot of terms.
Yeah.
DOP is director of photography.
Yeah.
There was no term as such in the earlier days. It was cinematographer always. So cameraman is basically an operator. Cameraman, like if you see 1917, there was a film recently that came. It's a war film. There was a DOP and there was a cameraman. So cameraman's job was to operate the camera according to what the director of photography tells you. Because there are people who are specified for the kind of camera movements, camera handling it's needed, which not every DOP can handle. So it's always better to call for a cameraman who does the job for you according to the instruction given by DOP.
Yeah. So there is another question. How difficult it is for an editor to see the movement of emotion, movement of story, and the movement of clip and sound?
How difficult is it?
Yes, while editing.
Yeah, it's not difficult. It's again, as I told you, it's in you. That's a rhythm you need to develop with time. It's the best of the editor wouldn't have been the best of the editor on the first day of his work. He must have faced challenges. He must have faced things. He must have done things which director must have thought, no, this is not working. You need to change this. With that comment, he must have understood, okay, this is not working because of this reason. So he learns that. So that's it. See, nothing is difficult. It's all up to you how you understand that rhythm. As I told you earlier, edit is not a software. It's also a software driven thing, but software is just a means. Everything is in your head, in your rhythm. If you can visualize a scene in a particular way, if you can visualize see, so when you read a script as an editor, you need to understand how it will look. You keep any character in your head, keep any actor, keep any person. So if you're reading a scene, that scene should be there in your head, how it's gonna look. So if you can do that, it's not difficult at all. Again, it's experience. That with experience, it might seem difficult the first day because you have no idea what you're doing. Because all you know is edit is keeping one shot after another, but that needs a rhythm. Like for a layman, if you ask my mother what is editing, she will tell me that ek shot ke baad ek shot lagana. So that's a rhythm which you tend to develop with time.
There is another question that is coming up from from the same student, Siddharth Kukreja. He's a final year student. He is asking, what if there is a vision differentiation between a director and editor, and how do you manage that?
That's a very common thing to happen. There are directors who listen to editors, and there are directors who don't listen to editor because they think they know. And it's at the end of it, it's a medium which edit is something which is very perspective. There might be a sequence which I do in a particular way, which I personally like, and there may be 10 people who like that, but 5 people who dislike that. So at the end of it, what matters is if the film is working. If the film is working, it doesn't matter what director wanted or what editor wanted. There are a lot of instances where there are difference of opinion in director and editor. Sometimes if the editor is smart enough to convince the director that this is why I have done this and this works, well and good. Otherwise, then as you say, he is the captain of the ship, he knows better. So if it's bad, it's on him. If it's good, it's on him.
Well, there is another question, although you have spoken that about in your presentation, but how can we maintain continuity in editing?
See, continuity, again, it's something which assistant directors have to take care of. There is a specific post called continuity supervisor, whose main job is on the set is to figure out the continuity. If one guy is holding cup in the right hand, the next shot he has to hold it in the right hand. Yeah. He can't be holding it in the left hand. It's a joke. not a lot of people figure out that, like, but these days with the advent of YouTube and all, I can see a lot of people who take the pain to figure out continuity jerks and put it as a blooper on YouTube. So it's better to avoid that. But again, the continuity supervisor is the main guy who takes care of that. But if there is a thing which is actually jerking, these days there are options which not a lot of people try to do because it's a lot of effort. What I do is, if I'm talking to you and there's a counter in which I have a head like this, so that's a jerk. What I do is I cut out the frame of the previous shot where he's actually looking into that, and I merge those two shots and send it to VFX. So they stitch those shots in which he's actually looking forward, so you don't realize there's a continuity jerk. So as an editor, I have been taught that we are janitors basically. Directors litter, we are there to clean it up. So you can't be telling ki this is what they have shot, so this is what I can do. No, you have to create something which the director must not have thought about, or the director must not have figured it out in such way. It's your caliber, how you bring out the best out of a thing which is not there. So continuity is, again, it's a lot. It's got a lot to do with the continuity supervisor. But again, it's something which if again, like looking into takes, there might be a different take in which that particular portion continuity is correct. So that's why I said look into all the takes, not okay takes. So you take from that portion and patch it in.
I think, sir, we are moving towards the end of the session. I would request if you can share those videos which we have got.
I have one video,
Yeah.
film called Requiem for a Dream.
Yeah.
So this film had won Oscar for Best Edit. Okay, and so I don't know how many people have seen the film, but the story-wise, it's a story about 4 people who have had their own issues in life. One being a drug addict, one being a TV addict, and this 5 minutes is an amalgamation of how their lives have reached to this point, and what effect has it done on their own lives. The best part about this is that what I'm going to show is the use of match cut, use of pass cutting, as well as jump cuts. So major aspects of edit has been covered in this particular scene itself. One more thing which I want to add is screenplay. Like not a lot of people. A lot of people tend to edit what they have in their bank. Rather, they should look to work towards the screenplay, what the screenplay needs, what the film needs, how efficiently you can tell a story through your cuts. So you should always keep the screenplay in your head. If you can change the screenplay, well and good. Like for an instance, D-Day film, the film right now, with the interval point of the film in the script was the opening of the film. So we manipulated in such a way that we shifted the whole opening sequence to the interval, and it worked beautifully. So directed, again, the one who asked about the creative differences, director was very happy with what he saw, and he said, let's go with whatever you like. Because then it's again a faith. It's a belief that this guy is working towards the film, not towards his own job. So I think screenplay and reading the script is it's a must thing. Be it a 2-minute video, be it a 1-minute video, reading the script and understanding the story flow is of utmost importance.
I think, sir, we have lots of questions, but we are very short of time. So thank you very much for sharing your experience and explaining to us the aspects, the important aspects of video editing, and answering all the questions patiently. So thank you very much. And now I would request our Dean, Professor Dr. Amrish Saxena, to kindly share his views on the session. Sir, please.
I joined very late, so I was deprived of whatever could be there in this session, but then I will watch since the session is recorded. So I will watch afterwards. But then for the last 15-20 minutes, definitely I was there listening to Unni. So a few things obviously I could make out the role of the editor and the way the film editor works. So I believe that the students who are interested in video editing and who have taken up this as a subject in their course will be benefited, because earlier this kind of paper was not there in BJMC. So when Unni had done his BJMC, so that now at that time he did not study this and he had to go to Chennai to study this all. But then now, since he has edited so many films and he has a long experience in film editing, so thank you, Unni. Thank you all.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you, Mohit.
So on behalf of Delhi Metropolitan Education, DME, and DME Media School, I would like to thank Mr. Unni Krishnan for taking out time and explaining the basic nuances of video editing to our students. I would also like to thank our Dean, Professor Dr. Amrish Saxena, Professor Dr. Susmita Bala, Head of DME Media School, Mr. Ritik Ghosh, Mr. Sumantra Sarthidas, all the faculty members and the students who have been patiently listening to the session. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
At Delhi Metropolitan Education, DME, we have an excellent infrastructure. We have a studio for production which is known as Studio 62. It was inaugurated by Tigmanshu Dhulia, who is a noted filmmaker. And within the studio, we have so many facilities. We have a chroma setup, we have a news setup, we have a chat room setup. And since floor is splendid, we can shoot any kind of program. We also have a separate radio studio.
And we have also organized Mega Film Festival SIFI and International Conference ICANN, and received lots of films and received lots of paper in that conference.
For a college, the software is very important. In my college, the software comprises of three things. First is the teaching, second is the research, and third is the mentoring. With the help of these three softwares, we train a student in such a manner that placement is just a byproduct.
One of the essential features of Law School at DME is its well-equipped moot court. Since its inception, DME has organized several moot court competitions and workshops just to enhance the mooting skills, which have been conducted under the distinguished guidance of various luminaries from bench, bar, and academics.
Judicial Training Academy is the most shining feature of Delhi Metropolitan Education, Noida. We have a huge library to help out our students with more than 15,000 books, including Halsbury's Laws of England.
DME has a very robust library infrastructure that not only caters to the curriculum needs of the students and the teachers, but also provides a great academic ambience. The library is equipped with latest books, journals, and other e-resources.
At DME, we not only believe in academic excellence, but we also provide platform to students to showcase their talent through big open amphitheatre, beautiful auditorium, multi-purpose seminar hall, equipped with world-class facilities. Recently, we have conducted Cultural Fest Aloha in January 2020 and Anugunj.